Good evening. It's SunakiVA. The video that you're about to watch is a reading of a very interesting story. Put on your headphones, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Things were going all right in the small town of McKeeson. McKeeson was a small town in anywhere in the United States. It could have been confused for literally any small town. It had around 10,000 people. Kids went to school or sometimes work. Parents went to work. It was a normal town with no history of crime or no history that was recent of anything going on. Mike Davis was one of these normal kids. He liked to hang out with his friends, ride his bike. He participated in sports at school. He was also just a genuinely nice kid. Everyone knew him. Everyone appreciated him. And everyone thought that he would always do the right thing. Well, let's just say that curiosity got the best of our dear friend Mike this night. You see, at the very top of Mount Manor, in the small town of McKeeson, was an abandoned house that everyone knew had been haunted. Of course, those were just rumors. The house hadn't been occupied since the late 1800s, early 1900s, and many suspected that it would be bulldozed soon to make way for something else. But the town never got around to it because they were always focused on something else, like a burst fire hydrant or leaky faucets or pipes, or trying to pave the road with salt so that no cars could get stuck during the winter. However, our friend Mike was curious this night and decided to go it alone. He went up the hill with his bike, riding it ever so fast, as it was a very much uphill climb. By the time he managed to get up to the hill, the poor kid's legs were rawer than meat. They were weak, like soup that had been watered down too much. And the poor kid didn't even know what was coming for him. When he managed to get to the cobblestone roundabout entry of the house, he saw something unbelievable that was in front of him. All of the rumors of how the house looked were true. The house was around from the 18 or 1900s. It had a sort of Victorian style or Edwardian style to it. A closed porch, beautiful windows and a roof, and a long chimney that stood high above the sky that could have pierced it and pierced straight up into the atmosphere. Could have impacted the International Space Station if it was high enough. But this was no ordinary house. Mike didn't even know how old the house was. The house was around over 100, 150, maybe 200 years old, depending on when it was originally built. Town documents from that time were burned in a very large fire that destroyed about 75% of the town. So records from that time period are virtually gone. He threw his bike down near the decaying and vine-covered fountain and stepped up the creaky old steps to the closed porch of the house. With all the bravery that he had up to this point so far, it was looking as if that he was going to do this. He was going to get into this house and prove his friends wrong. Because he had told all his friends that he was going to go up there all by himself and prove once and for all that the house was not haunted. Well, let's see if Mike was right. The door, as soon as he knocked on it, opened wide. The inside was pitch black, completely void of all life, existence, and light itself. Mike managed to bring a torch with him. And by torch, I mean flashlight, and he flicked it on, enveloping light for the first time in the house for over, possibly, 100 or so years. The house was covered in cobwebs. You could be able to see them spidering and creeping down from the grooves of the innards of the staircase. The archways towards the living room and the parlor room were entryways into what seemed to be portals into another world. He walked into the living room and investigated the entire house. Well, not the entire house from there. He went on to investigate the kitchen, finding moldy food, pots and pans that had been not washed in God who knows how long. He went upstairs into the bedrooms. He looked all over the house. Nothing really creepy. Covered furniture, old paintings, grandfather clock that occasionally went off at certain times, scared the heebie-jeebies out of him. But there was one area of the house that he did not visit, and that was the basement. Oh, yes, the basement. He walked ever so slowly down the creaking floorboard-covered hallway, inching ever so slowly to the door of the basement. It seemed as though that he was getting nervous even more and more with every footstep, with every creak on the floor of below his own feet. He was scared. His hand inched ever so closer to the handle of that door, and as he grasped onto it, like a lobster claw, he turned it slowly, almost painfully slow. And when he opened the door, the creak echoed through the stairwell of the basement and the entire house. He looked down with his torch and saw something unbelievable. A dead body. A skeleton, perhaps. Maybe it was a Halloween prank. Maybe there was something down there. It looked like a shadow, not a body, perhaps, but it may have been something. He was going to investigate further, but then he heard a noise. The noise sounded unhuman, almost as if it was a sound that you would hear a monster make in a movie, a horror movie perhaps. Mike's heart was racing fast. He needed to get out of there. He needed to leave. It was clear that he shouldn't have gotten there from the very start. He should have listened to his friends. The rumors were all persistent. Mike dropped the torch and immediately started to take a bolt towards the front door of the house. Boom! 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 The floorboards under him exploded every single time he took 2 steps forward. They were 1 step ahead of him. Mike screamed in agony as a floorboard hole pierced his jeans and grabbed his leg as he fell to the ground, grabbing onto something. He grabbed onto the door itself. His fingernails dug into the door as this creature, whatever it was starting to pull on his legs. His jeans continued to rip and tear. The overwhelming sound of a scream and tearing pants caused him to let go of the door, a piece of it breaking off. As he clawed, trying to be able to grab onto anything else, the carpet was ripping as he was clawing onto it. And as soon as he met his fate, the door slammed shut. And no one went into that house ever since that day. Thank you so much for watching the inaugural episode of Sunaki Reads. Abandoned. If you liked it, please comment, like, and share it with your friends. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Goodbye. Oh, and request some themes down below as well.